What's up, Mississippi State fans and all our subscribers checking out this video? And if you're new here, thanks for checking us out. Last two previews, we've talked about the big needle moving programs here in the conference, Arkansas and Kentucky. But today, I said I wanted to talk about a place in the bracket for an SEC team, of course, that I found more interesting since we're skipping Auburn, Alabama, Tennessee, and Florida for now. Today, we're taking a look at Mississippi State's pod of the bracket in the East region. Bulldogs will have an 8-9 game between them and Baylor and Raleigh. Should they win, their most likely opponent is, of course, the number one seeded Duke Blue Devils. This has to be one of the most difficult brackets to navigate as a region in this tournament this season. Not just for Mississippi State, but for nearly every team in the field. Just outside of the pod we're going to talk about today, there are upset picks just south of the state, and both the 1 and 2 seeds have a serious chance to make the Final Four, while also dealing with significant injuries coming out of the conference tournaments. It also features some of the toughest mid-major competition in the entire tournament as well. The coaching talent in this bracket features coaches with NBA experience, international experience, trips to the Final Four on their resumes, and multiple conference championships. But here, this alone is a crazy pod. Neither State nor Baylor are coming off a red-hot way to close out the season. And Duke, while they are ACC champs, both in tournament and regular season, the exact status of star player Cooper Flagg is still uncertain for the first round. This could be a recipe for chaos, depending on how the cards play out. For you March casuals or new folks to the show, let's talk about State a little bit here. The Bulldogs this season are a very different program from previous Chris Jans teams. Jans teams are normally known as great defensively, high pressure, physical type of defense. But this year's team is good on defense, but really does more of its work on the offensive end of the court to win basketball games. The defense still does a nice job of creating turnovers, though, blocking shots, but struggles to deny teams open looks. I think some of the teams in the SEC and their higher caliber offense have something to do with that, but the numbers from the earlier portion of the season were already a little bit surprising coming out of non-conference. But this State team does something very well on the offensive end. They are extremely proficient from the interior and take effective and efficient shots. Josh Hubbard is still leading this team this season and has shown strong signs of development throughout the year, especially when it comes to his stellar assist-to-turnover ratio. And that's a key note. State does not turn over the basketball. On top of that, this team does a nice job of extending those possessions with their solid offensive rebounding. Keyshawn Murphy, Michael Nwoko, and Cam Matthews have done a great job for leading this front court. The other major contributors on this team has also elevated State's potential. Riley Kugel, the Florida transfer, most notably. Him in combination with R.J. Melendez have some nice tandem that is effective in offensive depth and on the defensive end. The only thing that makes you lose some faith in State is how they closed out this season. Only wins late in the season came up against LSU. But this team has beaten several tournament teams this year, including protected seed Texas A&M. This team has wins against teams like Ole Miss, McNeese, Memphis, Vanderbilt, and Georgia. Can State turn it back on and survive this bracket and find a way into the second weekend? Let's start with game 1. Baylor, like State, had not the smoothest landing to the end of their season. Baylor dropped 6 games of their last 10. And they haven't beaten a tournament team since February 1st in a home game against Kansas, despite having the opportunities. They've also dropped games to TCU, Colorado, and Cincinnati. Traditionally, Scott Drew teams have been known to be great offensively, while his best teams have been excellent on defense. This team is more of an all-right defense with a good offense, is the best way to frame it. What State fans will notice is that Drew deploys a lot of zone and no-middle defense. Baylor will run matchup zones 1-1-3, 1-3-1, and press 1-2-2. And they'll disguise the zones as man-to-man, making it more difficult for the offense to interpret in real time. They furthered this confusion by mixing in some actual man-to-man defense from time to time, coming in in form of a press. In short, you've got man previously. The defense looks like man, but it's actually a zone. Thus, the offense is more likely to make a mistake by calling the wrong plays set that they have to combat that zone defense. You can expect Jeremy Roach to put pressure on Josh Hubbard coming off of a high press as well. On occasion, they will try to run and jump to trap the offense at the half court, using it as a third defender. State can avoid some of that by pushing into the lower third with intention and speed. But where Mississippi State can take advantage of Baylor is in transition. Baylor's transition defense this season has been something to be desired. This is an area that State can take advantage of by running their lanes, looking for baskets early in the shot clock before devolving into a half court set. On offense, and where Baylor is at their best this season, the Bears are going to be looking to get out in transition on the offensive end. Norchad Omier getting the rebound is actually a sign that Baylor can get out and run because he takes a few power dribbles to start the break and get the offense out faster before passing to a guard. In the half court, Baylor will screen you to death. They use a ton of ball screens and off ball screens to set up driving lanes with kick out opportunities in the corners. And from three, should they get those breaks, Baylor converts at 34.7%, and they have plenty of options to find that three with VJ Edgecombe, Robert O'Wright, Jeremy Roach, and Jaden Nunn, all shooting above the national average for three-point percentage. This will be a lockdown area for State that they need to focus on the defensive end. The three-point this season against State has been something of a weapon against them. State has been outside the top 300 teams in three-point defense this season, and State has allowed an effective field goal percentage of nearly 52% on the year. Going up against the number 16 offense on KenPom screams a need for State to step up on the defensive end of the court. Where Mississippi State can find an advantage is in their front court. Baylor is not a great rebounding team, nor is their front court particularly deep. Omier sees 87% of the minutes for Baylor at the number 5 spot, while State has Nwako and Murphy, who also have about 3 inches of height advantage over Baylor's premier number 5. Bulldogs also have been good on the offensive glass, ranging in the top 60 in the country. Ranging for those second chance opportunities will create a path for Mississippi State to have an opportunity to win this game. KenPom's got it. I mean, airtight between these two. KenPom's got this 74-73 at 52% going to Baylor. Essentially, a coin flip. Should Mississippi State get past Baylor in the first round, the more than likely opponent for State will be the Duke Blue Devils. Jon Scheyer has had an outstanding season at Duke. They look like one of the best teams in the country, and they are deserving of this number 1 seed. This team is loaded with future NBA talent and first-round draft picks. The talent is just simply off the charts, but some of the key players are young, and that always leads to the potential for chaos in the NCAA tournament due to lack of experience and tournament experience. This team is loaded, like I said, with NBA talent, but none is bigger than the name Cooper Flagg. Now, the status of Cooper Flagg is a little bit of a mystery as to if he'll actually play or not in the first weekend and to what extent. Scheyer says it could be all systems go on Friday, but last update, Flagg was walking around in a boot and he rolled that ankle, and luckily x-rays have come back for him negative. If Flagg is available, he is strong, he is athletic, and he has an incredible mix of offensive skills and defensive instincts. He will be a major piece of Scheyer's game plan, more likely than not, if he's good to go. So let's go into their offense a little bit here. Scheyer's playbook is extensive on the offensive end, but Duke plays at a slower pace than most teams, which means you can anticipate seeing multiple half-court sets a game. If you take a deep dive into the playbook, you'll notice in the half court, one you'll notice over and over again is 2-stack high. He'll run this from ghost, back screen, ball screen, power, pin down, and zoom. The goal here, exploit defensive weaknesses, create scoring opportunities for multiple players, create those passing lanes, and give freedom of movement around the court. Let's go to the whiteboard and let's check this out. The two-stack offense starts with the number 4 and the number 5 stacking at the top of the key. The number 2 and number 3 will be in the corners or the wings. So for a two-stack back screen, the back screen begins with the number 4, typically flag, just to keep you in mind here, picture the number 4 being Cooper Flag, rolling out while the number 5 sets the screen. The number 1 makes the pass to the number 4 and then cuts to the basket. This creates a lob opportunity to the number 1, and if it's not available, the number 4 can opt to the corners. The ball screen setup begins with the number 4 rolling out, again, probably flag, and the number 1 passing to the number 4 and cutting to the 45. The number 5 then sets a screen and now operates as similar to a pick and roll. The number 4 goes off the screen, breaking to the basket, and the number 5 releasing and cutting to the basket. The number 2 moves up from the wing for a kickout option if the play at the rim is not available. The pin down involves, again, the number 4 coming around the number 5 and the number 1 passing to the number 4 when he rolls out. The number 3 breaks for the basket. The number 5 comes down and sets a screen for the number 3 to move to the top of the key. Then the number 4 has a passing option to either the number 3 or the number 5. And last one we'll look at is power. And as we've seen before, the number 4 makes the move around the number 5, and the number 1 passes to, you guessed it, the number 4. Here, the number 1 makes a cut toward the basket as the number 5 sets the screen. The number 4 passes to the number 5, the 3 moves up, and the 4 cuts to the basket. The number 1 sets a screen for him. The 5 passes to the 3. The number 3 can shoot or pass to the number 4 for whichever is the most efficient shot available. The best defense for the two-stack is normally man-to-man, which State should be comfortable running in. This offense is normally pretty good against a zone. It's actually been used several times as a zone killer, meaning that State defenders have to be disruptive and they cannot get lost on the switches when facing this. For Duke's defenses, Shire's defense is simple but effective in nature. Duke has a lot of size. They almost exclusively play man-to-man. Sion James is likely to try to pick up Josh Hubbard in full court, trying to start grinding out more of the shot clock. They use their length along the perimeter to clog up passing lanes and driving lanes, and then that size continues to make it difficult for teams to find shots late in the clock. State is going to have to play fast and exploit and identify mismatches quickly. They need Josh Hubbard to be Josh Hubbard also and take care of the basketball. That'd be a tough matchup between Duke and Mississippi State. Mississippi State has got a tough field ahead of them here to survive this first weekend, but they are a team, if they turn it on, they've shown us that they can beat good teams. So let's find out if they can do it here in what looks to be a very entertaining pod of the bracket. We'll see how it plays out. I'm encouraged by State, but like I said, they had a rough close to the season. So right now, it's hard to exactly tell if this team is just on the end of SEC competition in what was a very difficult conference this year, or if they turn it on and show us that they are among a very high-level class of teams. They're going to have two really great opportunities against single-digit seeds here in the first weekend of the tournament. Guys, if you have not already, please like and subscribe to the Hoop Southbound Show. We greatly appreciate you guys being here. This is going to be my last video like this until next week. I'll do a little bit more breakdown as we get results in. I'll probably switch up the teams a little bit, starting in the Sweet 16 and moving into the Elite 8 to kind of give you that picture a little bit more for those teams. We'll see who we do, but we will be back on Friday night when we talk about the round of 32 and as it closes out. So you should be expecting a video probably Saturday morning before the round of 32 ends up starting, and then we'll be back again Sunday night to record. Probably expect an episode Monday morning, and then we'll repeat the cycle as we go through March Madness. But this should be fun with State. Hang around. We're going to be talking about everyone's game just a little bit in some nature, depending on how everything shakes out, of course, which one we'll be talking about in more dramatic fashion or which are going to be the big focal points. But it should be a fun tournament. Thank you for hanging out and watching these preview videos, and I will see you in the next one.